let's take a look back at the 2024 MLB trade deadline and see how they did 2 years later. It was a weird trade deadline. Some actually huge moves, like the Dodgers ended up getting big pieces that helped them win a World Series, their first real one in a very long time. We'll talk about them all. Before we get going into it, make sure you guys are subscribed to the Windup so you don't miss out on any of the content coming at you. Big shout out to the sponsor of today's video, SeatGeek. You'll hear from them in a little bit later. And without further ado, James, let's get going into this. But first, we want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, SeatGeek. Baseball season is fully underway. We've got the All-Star break coming up, and you need some tickets. So use our code WINDUP10 to get 10% off your next purchase of MLB tickets on SeatGeek. Because SeatGeek is the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which means that your tickets are fully guaranteed and instantly fulfilled right after purchase. And hey, maybe you don't want to go to a baseball game right now. SeatGeek has over 70,000 events listed that you could buy tickets to at this moment. Our personal favorite feature on SeatGeek is their SeatGeek score. That's where they rate tickets on a scale of 1 to 10 to let you, the buyer, know if you're getting a good deal or not. So when you see tickets with a score closer to 10 or with a green dot on the map, that means it's a good deal. You should buy those. When you see tickets with a score closer to 1 with a red or orange dot on the map, it means not the best deal. You don't need to buy those tickets. So once again, we've got the hookup for you guys. Use our code WINDUP10 for 10% off your next purchase of MLB tickets on SeatGeek. So make sure you click the link in the description right now, download the SeatGeek app, and have the code automatically added to your account. Big thanks to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back to it. We're starting off with the Jazz Chisholm trade.
Have to. This trade deadline was fun because there were a lot of big trades that happened days before the deadline. And then deadline time was a lot of like chaos and also huge trades. But this is one of the ones that stuck the most. Mostly because Jazz is still on the Yankees, had tons of team control at the time of this trade, is an incredibly valuable player while being really strange and bizarre and kind of makes the fans of his own team kind of pull their hair out at times. But it's one where the Yankees kind of didn't give up very much to get him as it stands right now, and still very worthwhile for them.
Think about how many catchers the Yankees have given up in trades over the last few years. Augustin Ramirez was the big piece in this trade because he is the sabermetric darling. He is the analytical guy where it's hit ball hard, hit ball in air. And, of course, I think of all these guys, he still is the best piece that was moved in this trade. I know I go on the other side very much so with Augustin Ramirez and that, like, I don't particularly care because at the catcher position, like, this is something that I think we do in baseball a little bit too much, and this will be a conversation as a whole. We see a catcher that can hit, and we overrate him, but Augustin Ramirez isn't a catcher anymore, so if he goes to first base and hits like he does, or even DH and hits like he does, he's not really a useful player in the current state that he is. Of course, there can be some development, and the Marlins have shown Major League development to be a real thing, but Augustin Ramirez last year, after starting off hot, was a below-average hitter in his rookie season. He can't catch. The Yankees gave up nothing. They gave up absolutely nothing.
Augustin Ramirez definitely still winds up as like a starting caliber hitter. But just without the catching, he loses lots of his value. He goes from a guy, because if you would have said, like, let's coach him up, let's turn him into a league average defensive catcher, which was, I understand the logic of that, and I understand conceptually wanting to do that. Then watching Augustin Ramirez catch, you realize that may have actually been impossible. But in your mind, you do that. You're like, this is a 3-4 win player easily, and then we could roll with that. Even if he catches part-time, DH is part-time. But as of right now, he's going to be a 1 to 2 win first base DH type. And again, after being the worst defensive catcher in baseball with all of the chances they gave him back there over a calendar year, it was rough. And the Jazz part of this is interesting, though.
Yeah, why? Because he's so good.
Well, he's not really so good this year, and he continues to do things that just are confounding. Like, I think the AirPod from last month, that was AI. That was bullshit, right? That was photoshopped. But yesterday, he literally had a lollipop at second base.
Yeah, I mean, he does things that drive people insane, and like normally I would play like, you know, the kind of racist card honestly here with Jazz, but like the lollipop thing I think would drive me insane too if the guy had a 716 OPS and like has at times talked about not knowing the rules of the game or necessarily what the situation is. If we're talking about talent, there's no doubt Jazz Chisholm is one of the most talented second basemen in all of Major League Baseball. What he did in 2025 was incredible. What he did in the second half of the season for the Yankees in 2024 was incredible. This year he's just been credible. He's been normal. He's been a league average player, but the lows for Jazz come on the antic stuff rather than it is the play. And if we are talking about just play, absolute slam dunk for the Yankees. It's crazy when you look back that he was available for that kind of package.
No, incredibly worthwhile trade. I still don't think he's a guy that gets re-signed, which is funny, but also in that year is really nice to remember that when the Yankees were kind of struggling with their infield alignment with the Gleyber Torres drama, Jazz was like, I don't care, I'll play third base. I've never played it before, and he played it exceptionally well. So it is nice to have a player, for all of the negativity that surrounds Jazz now, it's good to remember how important he was during that 2024 Yankee run to the World Series.
This is a pro Jazz Chisholm channel as well, though. Very much make that known. He is fantastic. He's one of the best second basemen in the game. He's just having a little bit of a slow start to the season. And even still, I don't know, 11
Slow
homers,
half.
11 homers, 23 stolen bases, and like playing good defense at second base. I think like every team in baseball besides like the Brewers and the Diamondbacks would and Cardinals would take that at the position.
Yeah, and by the end of the season, he'll probably work his way to near an 800 OPS, be one of the best defensive second basemen, and be about a 4-5 win player very, very easily. And again, wouldn't turned out to be not that much to get him. Some of the other younger prospects in that trade look like they'll contribute at the major league level. Jared Cerna is someone that's driven some excitement, but for Jazz Chisholm, to get 3 playoffs of Jazz Chisholm, this was one of the most slam dunk trades of recent deadline memory.
You're getting the best player in the trade without a doubt. One of the other trades that we have to talk about to start here, the 3-way trade between the Cardinals, the White Sox, and the Dodgers. This kind of really started like just me hating the Dodgers because some way, somehow, like they got these players that really haven't done much since then, but were part of a magical run for the Dodgers that ended in a World Series. Cardinals got Eric Fetty and Tommy Pham. Dodgers got Tommy Edman, Michael Kopech. White Sox got Miguel Vargas and some prospects. And it's actually turned out good for everybody except the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, but the St. Louis Cardinals have kind of just completely turned away from whatever decision-making processes were inside their organization that made them get these pieces in that trade. But the Dodgers aspect, it kind of really won them the World Series. It's easy to forget now, based on what the Dodgers done in the last 2 off seasons, that 2024 team was a lot. It was really patched together, Band-Aids and duct tape to get to that World Series run, especially pitching-wise. And Kopech is a guy that kind of rose up in a bullpen of nothingness and was a massive piece for them. And Edman destroyed the entire playoff run. All that guy did was hit doubles and home runs to the point where he basically hasn't even played since. And this trade was still worth it, even after the massive rise of Miguel Vargas.
Yeah, because Miguel Vargas at the time was kind of a prospect that really had no spot on the Dodgers roster, and when given the opportunity wasn't playing well. And up until this season, Miguel Vargas had been a mega miss, a borderline bust in terms of actual major league potential. But this year, he's been one of the best third basemen in the American League, going to make the All-Star team, a huge reason why the White Sox are fighting for an AL Central crown. He's been great. It is insane to think that the Cardinals took Eric Fetty and Tommy Pham, 2 guys who shouldn't really even be in baseball right now.
I mean, basically neither of them are almost. I mean, Fetty give him a few more months, but like they were grinding for a playoff spot. Like they were trying to plug a hole. Again, similar. They were kind of over Tommy Edman, the injuries they had, the infield depth coming through, and they were like, all right, let's play ball.
Yeah, but it did not work out for them. It worked out for everybody else in this trade, and obviously the Dodgers somehow come out on top. Probably don't have the best player in this trade and still won the trade because they won a World Series.
No, and just to quickly recap the last few prospects that were in this deal we haven't mentioned. Oliver Gonzalez, Jarrell Perez, who actually has had like a hint of prospect pedigree to him, and Alexander Albertus. So nothing too notable there besides these major league players.
And relatively speaking, those guys that they traded for weren't big names. So it's not like you were going to get these massive prospects. A huge win for the White Sox to get Vargas.
Huge risks at the time for the Dodgers to take on Michael Kopech, who also has done nothing since, similar to Tommy Edman. He contributed a little bit last year, but not a ton. But that was, truthfully, the White Sox came out well on top in that trade, while the Dodgers got themselves that first World Series.
I got to let you introduce the next trade, James.
Is it Dodgers acquire Jack Flaherty for Tyrone Lorenzo? And who's the last piece of that trade?
Who was the last piece?
I got it. It was Trey Sweeney.
Yeah, Trey Sweeney.
Because that was a fun one. This was, again, looking now, even going back 2 years' time, it's amazing to put ourselves back in the July 2024 brain. Because when this trade happened, the Tigers were kind of a disaster. The Dodgers are trying to get that last-second piece. After Jack Flaherty had a sensational first half for the Tigers that year, to over 20% strikeout minus walk rate, his velocity was up. He looked really, really good. Came to the Dodgers, looked really, really good for a little while, then kind of fell by the wayside. But again, they kind of needed every single hand on deck to win that World Series. So getting him was big. But then the Tigers somehow parlayed Trey Sweeney, who had gone from the Yankees to the Dodgers that offseason. I forgot what trade that was. That included the other infield prospect who mixed it. Eddie Leonard was part of something there.
I can't remember what the trade was, but Trey Sweeney went from the Yankees as a former first-round pick.
Who was that other prospect that went? But yeah, former first-round pick, never really developed much as a hitter, but kind of slotted into play shortstop for the Tigers down the stretch. change their defensive outlook and let them go on the run. That kind of turned into the beginning of the Tigers' magical 2-year stretch that I think we're about to strike midnight on when they trade Tarek Skubal.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem like it's going to go particularly well for the Tigers. But like Jack Flaherty, turbo mega dog shit always. He's bad again, but he was big for the Dodgers in that playoff run. And the guys that they gave up, like while Tylone Lorenzo was a big prospect, he's not something that I think the Dodgers are going to miss out on at any moment. And I think he's been okay for the Tigers. Hasn't really been like a slam dunk. And Trey Sweeney got some major league time, but this was one of those trades where, again, it didn't look pretty on paper, but 2024 Dodgers would shit gold for nothing.
100%. That's all they really needed. And that original Dodgers Yankees Trey Sweeney trade, it was Jorbert Vivas.
Jorbert Vivas.
I confused him and Eddie's Leonard if you were trying to keep up with Dodgers infield
you
prospects.
You want to know why? Those were guys we were
23.
talking about a lot when we would live together as interesting little prospects to keep an eye out
like
for.
The Dodgers high A, they got some action going on there. But again, this is a trade where it wound up being a really win-win, but for kind of all the wrong reasons you thought it was going to be at the time. And this was the deadline buzzer beater, like 2 seconds before the deadline, a weird July 30th deadline. This year we're on August 4th, for some reason we can't get that calendar consistent year over year.
No, snuck it in. All right, next one, we've got the Padres trading for 100 relievers. This is when they got Tanner Scott and Brian Hoeing from the Marlins in exchange for Robbie Snelling, Adam Mazur, Graham Pauley, and Jay Bashir. It's also very funny. In one of the articles talking about the trade, Adam Mazur was the name listed, not Robbie Snelling. Robbie Snelling was listed as the 3 prospects, which in retrospect, crazy.
Because at the time, Mazur was having a rise through the minors during that 2024 season, while Snelling had completely fallen by the wayside that season. But now you look back, and again, it's a shame that Snelling is injured now because that was the big piece the Marlins got for Tanner Scott and Brian Hoeing, and he looked like he was on track to be one of the better pitching prospects in baseball. Now it's a shame he's going to have to fight back through Tommy John, but again, next year probably get somewhat back on track. This is just another one of these Padres process trades where you're like, let's get more relievers and try to win a championship this year and then not hit in the playoffs.
Yeah, it didn't work. Tanner Scott then goes and signs for the Dodgers in the offseason. Brian Hoeing, I think, is still there but hurt.
I think he's been hurt for like a year now.
Yeah, he's been hurt for a while. Like, Robbie Snelling is going to end up being the most valuable piece in this entire trade, and he's not in your organization. I don't think that they particularly care about any of the other guys that were moved, but Robbie Snelling for half a season at Tanner Scott and Brian Hoeing, who's been hurt, that one in retrospect kind of hurts.
It did, at least getting Brian Hoeing and thinking you had a good reliever with more control, that could help you weather the storm a little bit. And again, Hoeing gets hurt, Snelling gets hurt, Mazur's not very good. Graham Pauley has mixed in, but he also hasn't really given himself a spot, more of a defensive first third baseman, which I don't think many teams are looking for those. But this another one where you're like, wow, there's one team that seems to be playing with different value propositions than most others at the deadline.
How about a win-win trade here? Banger for both sides. Tampa Bay Rays moved Randy Arozarena to the Mariners in exchange for Brody Hopkins and a player to be named later, and that player to be named later ended up being Aiden Smith, I think?
Yeah, Aiden Smith.
What, or no, and another player to be named later. Have we not gotten that name? I'm looking up on Baseball Reference. Still just says a player to be named later.
Yeah, you look it up, but this was the start of the trade deadline. This was like 5 days before. I think it was like a Thursday night. This was a night I'm pretty sure that there was that really fun Mets-Braves game that we went to in July.
That was a fun game.
And this trade broke a few hours after that. But, I mean, Randy is still crushing it for the Mariners. Hasn't been
He's awesome.
And Brody Hopkins is awesome. He kind of knew he was a project at the time, and the Rays have done really well with that project. He's risen to being the best pitching prospect in their system. Still trying to navigate his control, but has upper 90s velo with a decent fastball shape, has a wipeout slider. Like, he looks like he's going to be an absolute definite, at least mid-rotation major league starter, back rotation if he can't get the command right, with still lots and lots and lots of propensity for more as he keeps growing and kind of developing there. I kind of thought there was a chance he would get a shot this year just because of how little it felt like to me. The Rays had pitching depth-wise, and I did not expect Nick Martinez to be this monster that he is, but that's beside the point. But yeah, Hopkins, again, walks the world, but I think he will be, to me, a serious major league starting pitcher at some point.
Yeah, no, he looks like he's going to be really, really good. The stuff's absolutely electric. Wow. Okay, so the player to be named later was Ty Cummings, who was traded to the Rays and then traded back to the Mariners for Casey Legumina this April.
Okay, there you go.
What a weird trade thing. So it really was just Randy Arozarena for Aiden Smith and Brody Hopkins, but I do think this is a win-win from both sides. Like, you got off of Randy, who, I mean, the Rays would love Randy right now. That team would look really nice with Randy Arozarena. It could legit make the playoffs, but it worked for both sides. One of those looking back where, like, Brody Hopkins didn't have as much juice as he has now, but great job by the Rays of identifying a guy that would fit exactly what they can get the most out of and turn into a top 50 prospect in baseball.
Is he top 50 right now?
I think he is top 50, is he not? Or is he fallen a little bit?
I can see. I mean, this year he's walking like a batter per inning, but like I could definitely see him still just on the stuff alone, the pitch shapes. But high school, big, lanky high school pitcher takes a while. And he's 24 already, actually. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, he was.
I don't think he was a high school
No,
guy.
he was Winthrop College. Interesting.
Shout out Winthrop. I toured it. Did not like it.
Did you really? Why?
Yeah. It was in the middle of fucking nowhere in South Carolina.
Yeah, it's got to be that's got to be bumblefuck. But fun trade. Fun two-way trade. Next up, we have, this is one that looks insane in retrospect.
Nuts.
Cubs acquire Isaac Paredes for Christopher Morel, Hunter Biggie, and the prospect. And that prospect was, let me double check that right now. Biggie. I keep getting, that's not a good word to name search here, Biggie.
No, definitely not.
But that prospect was, where's that prospect?
Ty Johnson.
Yeah, he's still floating around the system. But it's good for the Cubs that even though Paredes was terrible down the stretch that year, kind of sunk their offense, they were able to flip him and get Kyle Tucker for the 1 year they had of Kyle Tucker, which again, he didn't even really, I mean, again, really weird last 2 years for the Cubs. But this is at least, this trade was getting anything of value for Christopher Morel, who I think was DFA'd over the weekend. And Biggie's someone from the trade I was always very excited about. He has not been able to contribute since he got hit in the face.
No, yeah, he has not been able to hit at the relief pitcher. He has great stuff. It's just, again, getting hit in the face, I think, has really done some things to him that unfortunately might be bigger than actually how good your stuff can be. Paredes was always a weird fit for the Cubs. We even talked about it then for a guy who's a dead pull hitter who has never hit a ball to the right side of center field and just doesn't really have the gap power. He hits it down the lines. Chicago's one of the worst places they could possibly play with the deep left field. He played terribly there, but the biggest win was basically you traded Christopher Morel, Hunter Biggie, and Ty Johnson for Kyle Tucker, theoretically. Even half the, 3/4 of a season of Kyle Tucker.
To get like one of the pieces you used to get Kyle Tucker. But then also the Cubs maybe, I don't know about process-wise in their front office, but then kind of making a similar mistake with Alex Bregman and Paredes now this offseason.
Yeah.
And now Bregman kind of just looks like he's kind of stuck being like a 700 OPS bat plus third base defender, which is not a great player type for how much money they gave him.
No, this was a trade of who cares. Truthfully, at the end of the day, it's made almost no impact for either team.
Yeah, but this is a fun one in terms of like there was a lot of major league players that moved around. I think I love getting these major league trades.
Of course. All right, we got to talk about old Zack Efflin, right?
God, I mean, this again, looking back 2 years ago, this really makes me miss the old times because at the time Orioles acquired Zack Efflin from the Rays. I was like, oh, we're playing ball now. And for Mac Horvath, Jackson Baumeister, and Matt Etzel. Another trade where Efflin has gotten hurt many times over since this trade happened. Can't stay healthy whatsoever. And none of these prospects turned into much either.
No, I mean, like for the Orioles at least, I think there was a time where Zack Efflin did pitch well, and I think down the stretch he was good.
Down the stretch that season he was.
Yeah, he was very good for them. So for the Orioles, you make this trade every time of the prospects that you gave up, and this is one of those where again the Rays get sometimes too much credit for the trades that they make. Of like every single guy that they ever trade for is going to turn out to be this beast. This was a move where basically nothing's happened with the guys that they ended up getting.
No, I mean, again, probably one of these guys or two of them will contribute to the major league level. Like I see Baumeister as having some plus stuff, still regarded as like a starting pitcher that eventually will be a reliever that will eventually be a good one.
Yeah, but it's one of those where it's just like, all right, Orioles got some stuff.
And then Etzel was flipped from the Rays to the Marlins for Nick Fortes at the deadline last season. So I guess we missed that trade when we did our 2025 deadline.
Yeah, not enough Nick Fortes talk on this channel.
No, it's a shame. There should be more.
Here's one that we got to talk about.
This is a fun one.
This is a fun one. Trevor Rogers to the Orioles. The Marlins get Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers. And this is a tale of like 2 seasons for both of these trades, which feels insane because Trevor Rogers, second half of last year, was arguably one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. He was unbelievable for the Orioles, stinking it up now. And then Kyle Stowers last year for the Marlins was one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball, not having the same success at the exact moment.
Maybe it's just the kind of thing where those two are like married at the hip. Like one has to be playing well for the other to be playing well. And like this trade will always feel fair because those two will always be going in the same direction together.
I do think though, if you are the Marlins, both sides were probably happy with it. Although, man, Orioles would probably love to have Kyle Stowers roaming the outfield right now instead of some of the guys that they have at the moment.
I think it's just both teams. I think probably do like it better for the Marlins. Even just getting Connor Norby, who has not been a good hitter at the major league level, he's at least become like utility infielder for them and playing well multiple positions. Has power and speed, even though he can't access it. Stowers just part of me maybe thinks the starting pitcher kind of be better for this. It's just funny the Orioles wasted the amazing Trevor Rogers Linsanity run at a time when they were dead and out of the water. Where at the beginning of this year they probably would have liked to have that version of Trevor Rogers. But this is again fun, close major league player for players close to the major leagues trade, and we're seeing instant impact. This has really been. Because I think like in 5 years from now, we might look back and be like, why do we talk about this trade so much? But it's one that's been really fun to talk about in the last year and a half.
Yeah, Kyle Stowers, late bloomer. And then like this year, it just hasn't been as consistent. There's also been some changes to his game that he made in 2025 that now are not sticking in 2026, which is probably impacting the quality of play. It's such a weird trade from both sides because they both had hot and cold streaks. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see for more.
Yeah. Now a trade where this was kind of, at the time, a team that I didn't know what they were doing, and they kind of backed into some good stuff. But Guardians acquire outfielder Lane Thomas as a rental for the Nationals for 3 prospects. And those prospects wound up being Alex Clemmie, who looks like he's actually becoming a bit of a pitcher in the Nationals organization, Rafael Ramirez, and Jose Tena, who's like actively contributed at the Major League level ever since this trade.
Yeah, Jose Tena being a part of the reason why the Nationals are hanging around for the wild card right now. So that's a win for Lane Thomas, who was putrid with the Guardians.
One of the worst qualified players.
He's playing well with the Royals now, which is funny because the Royals are, I mean, again, Guardians could always use more offense, but with the Royals, he's helping them out. Clemmie, left side, really, really interesting stuff. Funky delivery. Big guy,
Very
too,
funky.
right, Clemmie?
Yeah, huge guy. Another guy who probably, just because the command has not really come yet, but he still has good enough stuff, probably winds up mixing in relief at some point or as a spot starter, but still not even 21 years old and pitching in Double-A. So tons of time on an arm like that who's moved as quickly as he has, and probably a lot of new stuff coming this year with everything the Nationals have changed. But again, as getting someone who's contributed at the Major League level for parts of 2 seasons and getting still a project, but a pitcher in your system, you're like, I think this guy will make it one day. For 2 months of Lane Thomas, who was abysmal. This was big slam dunk for the Nationals regime, just on the way out. One last win for Mike Rizzo.
Also, looking at Rafael Ramirez, again, not going to go crazy on this, but he's 20 years old at A-ball, so he's about the average that you play at that. And with a new organization and a new, I shouldn't say new organization, new front office, new regime intact, he's doing some really good stuff. He has a 409 on-base percentage and about 200 plate appearances at A-ball, plays up the middle, can play all the infield positions. Jersey kid, by the way, from Patterson. Shout out Rafael Ramirez. That could end up being like a sneaky win if you get another major league player out of this trade for Lane Thomas, who was on a rental. Like, my God.
These are definitely the kinds of trades where you're like, this is how organizations kind of get themselves better, where like you just build yourself in a lot of volume or depth that you didn't have for a player that meant nothing to you at all in the long run.
Yes. All right. Let's talk about the Jorge Soler trade.
I mean, which one? I don't know.
Yeah, it's the Braves get Jorge Soler and Puke Jackson for Tyler Matzik and a prospect.
Sabine Ceballos. But this was Jorge Soler was signed and then traded twice within a calendar year. Giants, Braves, back to the Angels for Griffin Canning, which is funny too. This was the Braves trying to rediscover some of that magic, the Jorge Soler magic. And if I remember correctly, he was good after the deadline.
Yeah, no, Jorge Soler will only ever play well for the Atlanta Braves. That's how it works. And he might even find his way back on the Atlanta Braves this year. Don't be surprised. I wouldn't be if he does.
I still might be.
In 2024, Soler had an 849 OPS with them. Was great down the stretch. 9 homers and 11 doubles in 49 games. It's unbelievable what happens when that guy gets in Atlanta in the voodoo magic. And what do you know? Like, again, following that trade, they just wanted to get rid of him in that contract. And I can't believe the Angels took it when they already had a DH on their team and Mike Trout.
No, but at the time, this was an amazing move by the Giants to get out of a contract. It was the first of a 3-year deal that Jorge Soler was not playing well at the beginning of. Tried him in the outfield, was incapable of doing that there. And then they got to dump him, and they got, I guess, Tyler Matzik pitched some decent innings for them.
I don't think Tyler Matzik ever pitched for the Giants.
I think that was it. He's been injured the whole time?
I think Tyler Matzik has not. Am I Yeah, no, he never pitched for the Giants.
Never pitched for the Giants.
No, I think that was a trade and like
take the money.
Yeah, because he was he was a Braves hero, but he just couldn't do anything else the rest of his career.
No. Next one. Astros acquired Yusei Kikuchi from the Blue Jays for Jake Bloss, and then that was
Joey Loperfido?
Joey Loperfido, yes.
Which, like, for the Astros at that exact moment, oh, by the way, Ceballos, 727 OPS at Double-A. That's not
nice.
terrible for the Giants.
That's good.
But at the time, Kikuchi with the Astros, that second half, he was unbelievable. He was so good with the Astros.
Totally, but similar for a Blue Jays team that at that time was out of it and was selling parts for anything and acquiring volume. The third member of that trade was Will Wagner, who they
Yes.
flipped the following deadline for Brandon Valenzuela.
Who's Brandon Valenzuela's been a great backup catcher. We had him, right? We had him almost in the elite category.
And now he's not even a backup catcher anymore. He's a part-time catcher. That's the best critical acclaim you can give to a backup catcher.
Is to split time. So yeah, Jake Bloss is someone that you liked as a pitching guy too, and I think you still like him. He's just got injured.
He's gotten
right?
so injured. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen at this point. But he was fun. He had like a few different plus pitches. He's flashed on all the stuff models. He had fastball, slider, curveball, if I remember correctly. Yeah, fastball, slider, curveball. But it's just trying to get it back together. Oh, he's on rehab assignment right now. He just a couple weeks ago he struck out 4 and allowed 4 earned runs per Fangraphs at a single A Dunedin.
No way.
And now he's back in AAA. But again, let's see how stuff comes back. But still a guy that will probably contribute to the Blue Jays. You've barely started his service clock yet. I think he made 3 major league starts. Got good strikeouts, but also got roughed up there. He'll be organizational depth for the Blue Jays for the next 6 years.
Yes, and it's also hilarious too that they then traded Joey Loperfido back to the Astros this offseason for Jesus Sanchez.
Yeah, that was funny. And Jesus Sanchez also contributed. He's been better for the Blue Jays than he has been for basically any other team.
Although a little bit of scandal now in Blue Jays world because the defense has been so bad. It's the Jesus Sanchez, Nathaniel Lucas conundrum.
2 players, I wish you could just mash them together.
If you could mash them together, you got an all-star.
Yeah, it's superstar right there. But again, Kikuchi was very good for an Astros team down the stretch last 2 years ago that was desperately trying to keep the magic alive before losing to the Tigers. And they made adjustments with him that worked really well in the near term. Then he went to the Angels, didn't really get to keep those adjustments.
Yes. What's one of the other final big trades here? Looking back at this deadline again, weird one. Oh my God, yeah, Eloy Jimenez.
No, yeah, definitely not a big one, but keep scrolling around.
It's just the idea that Eloy Jimenez got traded. Eloy Jimenez was a piece to be considered at some point. That the White Sox got anything for him. Looking back on it, his fall off. I mean, they treated him like he passed away when he got hurt, and he's simply never played good baseball since.
Maybe they knew something we didn't. A big one at the time was, and it's funny to say this now, Brewers acquiring Frankie Montas for Joey Weimer and Jacob Junis.
Yeah.
And Montas was very good down the stretch for the Brewers that season. He got a playoff start for them against the Mets. Funny also, he was mixing around his pitch stuff a lot. He was using a lot more fastball, 2 strikes, trying to make that a put-away pitch. And the Reds then dumped Weimer to the Nationals, and he's been a good part-time player for them this year. Jacob Jr. always finds a way to catch on. It's just funny how much these player values change that quickly.
Drastically. There's also some other fun chaos trades, like the Red Sox got Luis Garcia, the reliever, gave up Ryan Zefferhan and a couple other minor league players. Ryan Zefferhan, very capable major league reliever right now. Orioles getting Gregory Soto from the Phillies because Soto was such a mess. That guy gets traded every single deadline, it feels like, over the last few years.
Every single deadline. A couple good ones here of players who have moved teams since. The Royals acquired Lucas Ursek from the A's for Mason Barnett, Will Klein, and Jared Dickey. So World Series hero Will Klein being thrown into a trade to go to the A's, then eventually went from the A's to the Dodgers. And Ursek was quite good for the Royals that season. Fell a little bit last year, and this year has completely fallen off a cliff. A fun one just to get really deep. We got any of the Mets up people here. The Mets trade Josh Walker to the Pirates for Nicholas Carreño, who's He's become a high-rising prospect in the Mets system this year as a left-handed
how about
pitcher.
the other incredible Mets trade that they made that season? Don't look at any of the other trades. Mets acquire Huáscar Brazoban for Wilfredo Lara, one of the best relievers in baseball this year.
One of the best trades any team has made in the last 5 years in baseball. Also, the Mets acquiring Paul Blackburn for Cade Morris, who just made his major league debut for the A's.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a whatever right there.
I got one. The Pirates getting IKF and gave the Blue Jays Charles McAdoo, who Charles McAdoo has been playing at the major league level.
Yeah, McAdoo had some fun things going on there. Let's see. There was just Pirates acquire Brylan De La Cruz for Jun-Soo Kim and Garrett Forrester. Whole lot of nothing.
Jun-Shak Shim, by the way, in the Mets organization now, which is fun to talk. Yeah, he's they're trying to make him into a reliever, I believe, now at the time.
It was a pretty good one for the Phillies, acquiring Tanner Banks from the White Sox for middle infielder William Bergolla.
Yeah, that is a pretty good one. William Bergolla, I don't think, is really doing much at the moment.
Another one trade before the trade. Rays acquire outfielder Dylan Carlson from the Cardinals for right-handed pitcher Sean Armstrong. Sean Armstrong is now a great relief pitcher for the Guardians.
How about a trade that did nothing for either of these teams? Quinn Priester to the Red Sox for Nick York.
That was, right before Quinn Priester breaks out for the Brewers, which is classic Red Sox. At the time, that Gregory Soto trade for Seth Johnson and Moises Chaché, I like Chaché, but then he got injured immediately after that.
How about when the Rangers got Carson Kelly from the Tigers? Technically, Liam Hicks was involved in that trade.
That is cool.
That's a
But
fun
then-
one.
Right before Liam Hicks got made into a Rule 5 casualty.
Jason Adam going to the Padres for Dylan Lesko, Homer Bush Jr., and JD Gonzalez. Dylan Lesko
That was
was
a huge
one
one.
of
We
the,
forgot that one.
yeah, one of the top pitching prospects in baseball at the time coming out of the draft. He's in low A. He's pitching well, but he's a guy who's dealt with a litany of injuries. Homer Bush in AAA, super twitchy player, still really hasn't done much just yet, and JD Gonzalez is a catcher.
Jason Adams is still one of the better relievers in baseball when healthy. Like that was one.
Very much so. How about, remember when Mets fans were really mad about trading Tyler Stewart for Jesse Winker?
Yeah, and Jesse Winker for a moment was good.
Fun one for the Angels, a rare W for the Angels, trading Carlos Estevez for Samuel Aldegari and George Klassen.
Yeah, it's a great one. I mean, Aldegari got rocked literally yesterday as we're recording this, but he still looks like, again, he'll be major league starting pitcher depth, and Klassen is actually the one prospect the Angels are like, we want you to develop in the minor leagues for some reason.
Absolutely insane. Ooh, two other fun ones. Brewers getting Nick Mears from the Rockies. Nick Mears was fantastic with the Brewers. He was really good.
Yeah, I also didn't realize that, and they also traded him to get what's his name, Angel Zerpa, who got injured this year sadly, but was pitching well. Texas sent that was Liam Hicks for Carson Kelly. That's very funny.
Yeah, how about Nate Pearson going to the Cubs and the Blue Jays getting Yohendrick Pinango, who's been good for them this year?
He's been really good for them. He's a fun guy with like good contact rate and good bat speed, which is kind of hard to find sometimes.
Any other ones? Sir Anthony Dominguez and Christian Pache for Austin Hayes.
I mean, the Mets getting Stanek, who wound up being their setup man in the playoff run.
Yeah,
for
true.
Defense first outfielder Ryland Thomas back to the Mariners.
D-backs look like they got away with highway robbery when they got A.J. Puck from the Marlins for Davison De Los Santos and Andrew Pintar.
Yeah. Orioles acquire Sir Anthony Dominguez and Christian Pache for Austin Hayes.
You didn't even hear me. I already said that
You
one.
said that one? Sorry, I was scrolling. I was scrolling looking for some as well. That's my bad.
Can't forget Philly Maton being traded to the Mets.
Fuck him up, Philly.
I'm trying to see if there's any more. I think that's kind of it in terms of the fun names.
This
Hunter
was one of
Harvey.
the weaker trade deadlines like ever.
Yeah, no, one of the weaker ones. But weirdly, the team that made a lot of the trades, the Dodgers, ended up being pieces that were integral to them winning a World Series. So just goes to show you that even if the deadline feels weird, could have a major impact that changes the history of baseball.
I mean, it always does, because you need every single little thing to work right to win a World Series. So for the Dodgers, every single one of these players they got really, really helped them win it.
And that's it. That's the 2024 MLB trade deadline 2 years later. Make sure you subscribe to the Windup so you don't miss out on any of the baseball content. You can follow James on social media at
James Shiano.
I'm Draftnik Mark. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.